So this morning's program is about introducing to you and helping you better appreciate what we've done over the last year, really, in re-engineering Journey to Excellence. To say that we heard you is probably, and to say that we heard our unit leaders is probably an understatement. The echo coming from the field across the council was simply that JTE, Journey to Excellence, was too complex. Everybody's familiar with what I call version 1.0 looked like. It was a very complex scorecard, almost, I wouldn't even call it a bingo card, it's a scorecard. And when we tallied it all up, there were 39 variations on criteria that a unit had to wrap their head around in order to figure out what they needed to do to get to just the bronze level of Journey to Excellence. And as a result, only 27% of our units across the council were successful in getting to that first tier, to the bronze tier of Journey to Excellence. And in fact, over the last 2 or 3 years, that number has slipped down a little bit and not up. So even the adoption rate that we were seeing was beginning to fall off. The number of units participating, the enthusiasm for Journey to Excellence just simply wasn't there. And we've heard it through the numbers, and we've heard it through conversations that we've had with you and with unit leaders throughout the council. So we decided to tackle the problem and eliminate the 39. Our goal was to make it simple, bring it to life so that a unit leader could understand and absorb what really did create or make a terrifically operating Boy Scout troop or Cub Scout pack. Those were some of the principles that we used as we went through this. And so what we did was we took 39 down to 5. We took 39 variations on themes and criteria and numbers and metrics. And by the way, most of which you guys complained about because leadership training numbers aren't right in ScoutNet, and we could get into a lot of other discussions about how the system wasn't perfect. But it in fact created more churn, more chatter, more distractions than it created productive delivery of program. And so 39 became 5. And as we were looking at the 5, as I indicated, it became very apparent that it had to be simple. Now, not easy. Easy and simple aren't necessarily synonyms of one another. We wanted to make sure that it was simple so that your average unit leader didn't have to flip through dozens of pages and 39 criteria. We wanted to make it clear, and we wanted to be as consistent as possible. And in fact, you'll see this morning that as we lay this out, this is for both 2014 and 2015. So even though we're a little late in the year in rolling this out to everybody, it's a 2-year look at Journey to Excellence for our units. So it gives them a planning horizon that they can count on and trust consistently over that window of time. More importantly, we were not going to rely on data entry. We were not going to rely on ScoutNet or any other system to give us answers to how well we're performing. That responsibility sits right inside this room. And it's based on the principle that a scout is trustworthy. And so while there are training criteria as a part of Journey to Excellence 2.0, the measurement of that is done shoulder to shoulder across a kitchen table, across a church table, where real things happen in scouting. As we sit commissioners shoulder to shoulder with those unit leaders, it gives us the ability to have a conversation about training and to measure it right there. Now, yes, we're going to ask you to report it back to us, but the reason for reporting it back is to be able to brag about our successes and enjoy our successes across the council. But I want to underscore that we're not going to be using ScoutNet to measure training as an example. And you'll see that that becomes even more real as you look into the training criteria, because Some of the things that we're asking units to do aren't easily measured in ScoutNet today, much less accurately measured in ScoutNet. And most importantly, though, it was to inspire our unit leaders to higher and higher performance. The energy behind this is all about creating a terrific scouting experience for family and kids. That experience is not something we can measure by the number of kids that advance. It's not measured by the number of youth-facing leaders necessarily that are trained, although that is part of this. But it's more holistic than that, and we wanted to build a program that gave that more holistic approach and more holistic thinking to this Journey to Excellence 2.0. And in fact, it's focused on quality. If you go back to where we were a year ago at the Commissioner Summit, the principles that we laid out are the same building blocks that you'll see in JTE 2.0. It's interesting that as we dove into this, we discovered that the very things that we talked about last year are the very elements of building and driving a terrific scouting experience for families. Now, you'll also remember when we talked a year ago that there were some trends that we were focused on, and I just want to refocus us for a moment on what those trends are, because this is the challenge, and I consider it an opportunity, but this is the challenge that we have. Looking back over the last decade, a little over a decade in Northern Star Council, we've experienced a Cub Scout market share deterioration. I'll use the word deterioration or erosion. We started the 2000s out at about a 27% share of market. A little over 1 in 4 kids of Cub Scout age were a part of our Cub Scouting program. The last year that I have numbers for up here, right around 2010, Cub Scout market share had slipped to 17%. So from 27% to 17% in a very short period of time, relatively speaking. And so we knew we needed to tackle a number of things. Now, JTE is not the silver bullet for all of those issues, but it answers a piece of it. And a piece of it is, how do we create great program experience? How do we create an experience and an opportunity for families and young people to engage in and grow in character and grow to the leaders that we anticipate that they'll be for tomorrow? So keep in your mind's eye that blue line, because so much of what we do and talk about is related to Cub Scouts. And it's not to ignore what's going on in our Boy Scout program or our venturing program, but our real need right now, as you'll hear through the morning, is around Cub Scouting. And what are we doing to drive better program, better results, better experiences in our Cub Scouting program? So it comes back to this basic statement. And this was true as we reviewed it a year ago, and it was even more true in the present as we reviewed JTE. A well-planned program. This was the inspiration, by the way. You saw it in the email, one of the emails that we sent out. But this was the inspiration for Journey to Excellence 2.0. And it's the foundation that we built around. A well-planned program delivered by a trained leader with a strong outdoor component, a strong outdoor program, delivered by an excellent an excellent commissioner and district committee, attracts and retains young people. And we centered ourselves as a task group that was looking at this. We centered ourselves around those words. A well-planned program delivered by a trained leader, I would even say a well-trained leader, with a strong outdoor component, supported by an excellent commissioner and district committee, is the formula that attracts and retains young people. It's the magnet. It's the formula. It's the elements that come together in the magic of scouting. And that's what goes on in units around the council every day. And our mission is driven by strengthening that commitment. So JTE 2.0 in its simplest form And I'm not going to get into details right now because we've got breakout sessions coming in about an hour where you will get more detail than you could ever ask for. But the basics are a well-planned and well-funded program. Building block number one. Building block number two is making sure that that unit who's built a good program, a strong program with a strong outdoor component, making sure that that plan is well communicated on a timely and regular basis with the families that that unit is serving. So a communication plan is the second building block. The third building block is basic training. And the fourth building block, or guidepost as we call them, is advanced training.